welcome to the It Doesn't Hold Up podcast. We review and reevaluate all things we remember fondly from our childhood and years prior to see if they still hold up, and more often than not, they probably don't. I'm Stuart Shepherd, along with my co-host and good friend Michael Smith. Smith, how are you doing?
Very well, thanks, Stu. And how are you?
Well, I'm not sure how to feel. I've lost my mood ring.
Where did you last have it?
Well, it could have been in the woods.
By the bees.
Bees?
Bees? I'll be back in a jiffy.
No, I'm fine and dandy as always. Cool, right. And a little teaser of what we're going to discuss today. But before we get on to this
That's right.
episode,
Bee movie starring Jerry Seinfeld.
yeah, I've never seen that film.
No, neither have fucking I.
No, I'm sure it's pretty average.
Sure, it's garbage. Anyway, go on.
Anyway, no. Before we get on to this episode's nomination, going to talk about last episode's feedback, which was E.T., which came from Smith. Now, we got tons, and I mean tons of feedback on this, so I've condensed it down in no particular order. A childhood classic, but I haven't rewatched as an adult, so that's always a good question as if it does hold up. It does, can assure you. Pow, right at the childhood. Always amazes me how dark 80s kids movies are. The scene where E.T. was dying scarred me for life. I hope you've got over it now. Then,
Well, if it's for life, they won't have. They'll
no,
still be sitting there every night, sitting there with a glass of whiskey in hand, staring into the middle of the distance, going, "But E.T. just wanted to go home. Why couldn't they let him go home?
why did he have to die in order to come back to go home?
Why is man's inhumanity to man and other creatures?"
Yeah,
Ah.
those damn scientists are actually quite kind in that film. But anyway,
Yeah, there's no
right,
villain in that film.
there's no villain. And then there's a couple of comments about the dissection of frogs. So the first one was, I started
Mm.
secondary school in 1991, and the dissection of frogs had been stopped a few years prior, but it definitely happened as I remember older kids and teachers talking about it. So that must be a UK listener talking about that. So that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Uh, and then a comment from our friends at Movie Lovers Unite, John De Gregorio. I remember in the eighth grade having to dissect a frog, and I remember trying to fake sick just so I wouldn't have to do it because of that one scene in E.T. That one scene gave me so much anxiety that I did get sick for real on the day of doing it, and I thought I'd missed out on it, and then only to find out they pushed it back because I was sick and I had to do it anyway. There was no
Oh,
escaping
God.
dissecting that
For-
frog.
I mean, you should be able to conscientiously object to dissecting a frog.
Yeah.
I killed a frog once. It was an accident, though. So I was walking up my path to my house and it hopped up in front of me and I thought it had gone. Anyway, I opened the door and I went to close the door and the door wouldn't close and I wondered why the door wouldn't close. And the frog had got into the little bit where the hinges are. And so I sort of just smashed its head. So I flicked it off with a stick. I mean, like away from the door. I didn't like wank it off with a stick. I didn't,
No, no,
you
good.
know, flicked it off down the path with the stick and it was lying there on its back in the sun, still breathing. So it was still alive. I think I just broken its neck. Didn't know quite what to do. So I just left it there.
Well, from what I understand, we're going way off topic here.
Frog biology,
Frogs do
the
play dead,
podcast.
right? So they do actually lie down like that if they're really hurt or whatever, and you think they're dead. And if you touch them, they let out this horrible piercing scream, and it's quite traumatizing. So it's quite possible it wasn't dead; it was just faking dead.
And then the dead frog that was there later was a coincidence.
Okay, oh, then it died.
Yeah, no, yeah, it definitely did. I know what
Right,
I did, Stu. I know what I did.
and I hope it haunts your dreams.
It does.
Good.
That and all of the other things I did.
Yeah, cool. So that was all the feedback we got for ET. Did you get any subsequent feedback or anything else?
The only the only bit of additional feedback I got was in person, and someone said to me, "What do you mean you didn't like ET when you were a kid? Are you a fucking idiot?"
Yeah, it's a
I
bit
was
of a
like,
silly thing to say.
"Yes, well, I am a man of many opinions, some of which have no basis in truth or fact."
Quite right. Right. And anything else you want to say on ET before we move on?
No,
Right, put that to bed.
get a move on.
Yeah, right. So this week's nomination is My Girl from 1991, which came from me.
My
So,
girl.
yeah. Brief synopsis of this is about a tomboy, Veda Sultanfus, and in this coming of age drama, she gets really jealous that her father has now got a new love interest, as well as, dealing with the angst of growing up and living in a funeral parlor. That's pretty much all that happens, isn't
Pretty much. And I'm just gonna
it?
I'm gonna say now, before we get into this, the last night, as I was leading up to watch this film, I was in a right bloody mood because there are hundreds of films that I've never seen in my life that I'd like to see at some point. I've never seen Seven Samurai. I'd love to see Seven Samurai. I just don't have the time. I've never seen um, Cinema Paradiso. I'd love to watch Cinema Paradiso. I just don't have the time. Right. So when I was watching a heartwarming coming of age story, I just thought, I don't want to watch this. And I was furious at you, furious for you making me watch this.
But what if it was an ET instance? You watched it and, oh, actually, I quite enjoyed that.
Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
But
Cool.
but I don't know. Well, I maybe not.
We'll see. Right. So, yeah, this came out, well, it came out in the States in November 1991. We didn't get this until February 1992. But for the purpose of this, we will do scene setting for 1991, which we've already done already with Suburban Commando, but shit happens. So, Smith, take it away.
No, so we're not going to do sin. I've completely changed my mind on that. Ha!
Oh, didn't know I was going to do
Curveball,
that, did you?
wild card. No, Ruggy Buggy Baby Bumpers. Now,
Yep.
I'm going to do you a little quiz.
Okay.
So I have in front of me, according to Box Office Mojo, the top 25 movie flops of all time. This was not a movie flop, but
Nope.
there are many throughout history. Now, there was the biggest flop of 1991, and first of all, it's not in the list of the top 25, but I will let you guess. What do you think was the biggest box office flop of 1991?
Was it Hudson Hawk?
It was Hudson Hawk,
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
spot on.
Yeah.
Hudson Hawk with a budget of 65 million, gross 17.2. Have you seen Hudson Hawk?
No, I've heard it's batshit.
It's shit.
Yeah.
It where 65 million went, God only knows. It's one of those films that's kind of curious in how bad it is. You sort of sit there going, what
Right.
why all of these creative decisions? Why has this happened? Why did you think singing was something you could do? Why did you name all of your characters after chocolate bars? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah,
God.
anyway. So I'm going to give you 10 guesses
Mhm.
to correctly guess 5 of the top 25 box office flops of all time. Do you think you can do it?
Okay, we'll try. From
All right.
1991, or just flops in
No,
general?
no. From of all time, the top most loss of dollars. It's Box
Okay.
Office Mojo, and it was posted in October of 2024.
What's this got to
And
do with us covering Michael?
absolutely nothing, but I thought it'd be quite fun.
Yeah, it is fun. All right. Well, Hudson Hawk was 1991, so I guess that's kind of got something to do with it. Right, the biggest flops were
Well, exactly.
Joker 2's got to be in there.
Is Joker 2 in there? I don't believe it is.
Oh, I heard that made
It
a
is.
shit,
It is
lost a
not.
shit
Now,
ton of
also,
money.
as I did say, this was October 2024. So,
Could have still have been then. All right. The biggest flops of all. Isn't like Baron Munchausen in there or something?
The Adventures of Baron Munchausen is not in there.
Okay.
That's 2 down. You've only got 8 guesses left.
Good.
You're gonna have to start getting some right.
8's a bit much. Let's go for 5. Right.
No. You only need to get 5 right, but you've got 8 more guesses.
I've got 8 more guesses.
Yeah.
Biggest flops of all time. Bloody hell, Smith. You're really putting me on the spot now.
It's testing your film knowledge, mate.
Yeah, it is, because I'm trying to think, well, I might have liked it, but it still might have just died.
Mm.
Oh, didn't Pearl Harbor absolutely bomb in the box office?
Pearl Harbor. Is Pearl Harbor on the list? Pearl Harbor is not on the list. Oh.
Okay. Good God. One of those. Oh no, you just said it's 2024 because that new Snow White film's absolutely bombed. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it has, but it's not on the list. This too old this
Yeah.
list that might make its way onto there. I'm sure it will.
Yeah. Okay. You know what, Smith? I got the patience for this. Just tell me.
You're going to make All right,
I'm very tired and I can't think at the top of my head some right turkeys. So you just
Right,
tell me.
okay. I'll run you through them real quick. Top 25
Mhm.
big box of bombs of all time. How do you know from 2010? No idea, never heard of it. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
That doesn't surprise me.
I quite like that.
I do.
Heaven's Gate. Mars Needs Moms. The Flash. A
Oh,
Wrinkle
yeah.
in Time. Wonder Woman, 1984.
Oh yeah, that was shit.
Mulan. The live action Mulan, not the animated one. Dark Phoenix, the X-Men film. Final Fantasy, Spirits Within. The Adventures of Pluto Nash. Turning Red. That's weird. It's a COVID thing. Titan AE.
Mhm.
King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Tomorrowland, which is just really fucking boring.
Tomorrowland. What's
Yeah, it's one with
Tomorrowland?
George Clooney. It's like a Disney film. So it's based
Oh
on
yeah,
an area in
yeah.
Disney.
Yep.
Battleship. That's crap. Strange World. Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. Cutthroat Island.
Mm.
Mortal Engines. The 13th Warrior.
Ugh.
The Marvels.
I didn't mind that.
No, I didn't mind that. The Lone Ranger. Didn't
Yeah,
mind that either.
right. No, I didn't really like
And John Carter of Mars. with a loss of $255 million.
Good
And that
God.
film was a complete turd.
Wow. Yeah, see, there are some obscure ones in there, so I think within all bloody night
They're
we
not
can
that
make
many.
episodes.
They're not that many obscure ones. I think some of them you wouldn't think would be on the list, right? Because the ones when you say to big box office bombs all the
Mm.
time, people are like Waterworld, right? Which actually didn't lose any money in the long run, made it back in the end. Also, great film.
Or is it?
Yes, it is.
Uh,
I might make you watch it if you're going to disagree with me.
well, I have watched it, so we probably could cover it on this podcast at some point. But anyway,
You
right.
just want to talk, spend 3 hours of me saying how great Waterworld is.
Isn't it like 220? Well, anyway, all right. Well, My Girl was not a flop. It made a considerable amount of money, which Smith can talk about later on in the Smith
It
trivia.
is.
But yeah, okay, all right. That was some really weird scene setting fun quiz that had nothing to do with My Girl, but that's fine. It's fine.
Well, I'd forgotten, if I'm being completely honest with you, that we'd done 1991 before, so I had to pivot.
No worries. Right then. So, um, how old were we when we first saw, heard, read anything about this whatsoever? When did we first come across this in any sort of form? Start with you, Smith.
So, this was released in February of 1992. I would
Hmm.
have been somewhere between 6 and 7. I generally think then that it wouldn't have been for a few years after that. Probably, I would imagine the very recognizable, instantly recognizable video cover on the shelves of my local Blockbuster Video or Primetime Video, depending
Yes,
which
I
one I
mean,
could be. But yes, that it's very recognizable. That is quite ubiquitous as it was on video and shelves of video stores and HMVs of that back in the day. Now, would this film have appealed to me at that age? Absolutely not. At 7, I would have been, I would imagine, too young. At 9 or 10, I would have been probably, in my own estimation at the time, too old.
hmm,
So yeah, I'd say probably about 9 or 10, and I would have seen it first, as I recall, on TV.
interesting. Okay. So this is an interesting one for me because went through the period of always just renting out the latest film from like
Mm.
Blockbuster Video, whether it was a kids film, teen film, action film, whatever. And I remember if this came out at cinema in February 1992, we wouldn't have got this until August 1992. Now I remember having a family holiday in August 1992 in France at a campsite, and it was fucking awful. And as you do,
Well,
I hope the wife
camping.
isn't listening. Yeah. As you do, you make friends on
You
holiday.
made it about the French.
I know, I know. Well, yeah. Anyway. So anyway, as kids do when you're on holiday, you make friends with other kids. And me and my brother made friends with this bloke, and he said, "Oh yeah, have you seen My Girl?" And we're like, "No."
Like,
Like,
make you sound like he's
all
about to
right,
already.
yeah, no, you know what I mean. But a similar age child made friends with him, and he was like, "Have you seen My Girl?" I went, "No," and then he gave away the ending, just like, "Oh yeah, this happens." I was like, "Oh, okay, why do people fucking do that?" But all right, but then I was intrigued. I was like, "Okay," because I'd seen the music video. They re-released My Girl, and there's clips of Macaulay Culkin and Anna Klumsky dancing around and all that sort of stuff, and then it was covered in like kids magazines and shit like that. And this was the height of Macaulay Culkin, wasn't it? He'd been in like banger after banger after banger of like really, really profitable movies. So I guess my intrigue was like, well, okay, I've heard about that ending, and I like Macaulay Culkin. I liked Home Alone, Uncle Buck. Home Alone 2 hadn't quite come out yet, but I liked Macaulay Culkin, and it was just one of those things. Yeah, it was in the video store, and I'd read about it. Why not? We rented it out. So first time I would have seen it would have been a rental. But I
I'd have
just
say
gone,
I'd have seen it on TV and it would have been in passing. I don't think I would ever have sat down to watch this film, because as a contrary, maybe 8, 9, 10-year-old, the chance of getting me to watch a film called My Girl, because it had girl in the title, was never going to happen.
I think it appealed to me because Anna Klumsky and Macaulay Culkin were about my age when this came out, so I sort of, you know, gravitated towards it. Oh, they're kids. They're a bit like Stephen King's It, the original one from the 1990s. Like, oh, those
Yeah.
kids around about our age type thing, so you want to watch it. So yeah, I don't know. There was something about it that drew me to it, and I watched it on rental, and then it's one of those things I've watched it so many times. Anytime it's on normal TV, or it was on Sky TV, whatever. But genuinely not watched it in about 20, 25 years. But as a kid,
No,
watched it all the time.
I question watching this whether I'd actually ever seen it all the way through. And it contributed greatly to my grumpiness of having to sit down and watch it now. Um, Also, it was bizarre to me when I was watching this that this came out after Home Alone because Macaulay Culkin looks younger.
I thought that. And the thing is
And
as
I looked it
well,
up, and it's like, I can't work out. I thought maybe it was filmed first, but then I looked up,
no,
and it's like, no, it wasn't.
no, because before Home Alone, he was in Uncle Buck. He didn't have a huge role in that, but he's in Uncle Buck, and he's very young then. Then he's in Home Alone, and then he's in this. But I get it. But I think it's because his hair is longer and he's wearing glasses, so he looks different. Although,
Maybe that's it.
interestingly, I've shown the DVD if you're watching on YouTube, is that the picture of Macaulay Culkin, he's not got his glasses on. Now, I reckon that's so people know who it is. If he's like the nerdy kid he is in that with the glasses, they wouldn't necessarily think that's Macaulay Culkin, whereas
Yeah,
kids would recognise that's Macaulay
like
Culkin.
Superman.
Yeah,
If Macaulay Culkin puts glasses on, you can't recognize who he is.
there you
That's how he remained so anonymous in the public ie for so many years after Richie Rich.
There you go. Well, you can't recognise that it's me, Stu. I'm wearing glasses today.
What?
Who is this man?
I was
Right.
just going along with it.
Yeah. Anyway, should we get into the inverted commas plot?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's crack on. So, Columbia Pictures, it has that old school one that always makes you think Ghostbusters every time that ever shows
Mhm.
up. You know, the Statue of Liberty and shit. Is it supposed to be the Statue of Liberty? Whatever. Anyway, Miss Columbia.
No, it's not Statue of Liberty. It's not Statue of Liberty.
I've always associated it with the Statue of Liberty, probably again because of Ghostbusters 2 as well.
Mm.
There you go. So straight away we meet Vader Sultanfuss, and it's very breaking the fourth wall when speaking to the audience. And she's with
So
her dad. Go on.
immediately a few thoughts as it opened, right? The opening music is already boring because the opening music over the credits is like blinky, 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 blinky. Like, oh, for God's sake. And then the name of the director comes up. It's Howard Ziff. It's like, fucking name is Howard Ziff.
I
And
mean,
I was like, oh, I hope that's the last instance of a stupid name in this this film. Oh no, wait, Zoltanfuss. The fuck is
yeah,
that? Is that
yeah,
not a name?
yeah, and also Vader Sultanfuss. Very,
Wait, what
very.
kind of name is Vader Sultan for anyway?
It'd be even if your name was like Vader Jones. Vader's for the stupid name. But yeah, there you go. But
Also,
yeah,
I was kind of watching along as the credits were coming up with the names of the people in it. I was like, good God, it came up casting May Colquhoun, and I was like, she has done her bloody job because this has got a hell of a cast in it.
yeah, yeah. There's tons of people in this. But yeah, sorry. So we're back to the start. We meet Vader Sultanfuss with her dad Harry in the kitchen. She explains that she was born jaundiced. She has a chicken bone stuck in her throat. She once got hemorrhoids when she sat on a toilet seat, and one breast is smaller than another, and then she's dying. And tells her dad that, and he basically goes, "Could you get the mayonnaise out of the fridge?" Like, great parenting, Dan. Great
Yeah,
parenting.
that is 1970s parenting. Like he is making that sandwich in the weirdest way possible as well. He's sort of just standing there looking at it. He's not doing anything. He's just like hovering. Also, why does she talk to the camera? Because this is the only time she talks to the camera.
Apart
We
from
have a few
monologues
bits
we get.
later on with voiceover, which are
Mm.
completely unnecessary. And I'd have just, I don't know, if I was editing this, I'd have gone back and gone, no, get rid of all of that. Get rid of all of it.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't really add to the story, does it? You can gather what's going on just through, conversations people are having on screen.
Yeah,
There you go. But yeah,
lazy writing is what it is.
lazy Ryan. But yeah, you're quite right. We learn it's 1972 in Madison, Pennsylvania. So we meet her friend Thomas J, played by Macaulay Culkin, and a bunch of kids. And they've come to see a dead body because Vader lives in a funeral parlor. So they've come to pay Vader some money and see a dead body. And
I
then,
see, again, I knew that. Yeah, I didn't realize it was in a funeral parlor. So when they were saying, oh, can we see one? I was like, see one of what? What am I watching? What's happening? What am I about to see? I
you
don't.
got the money?
What is this? What film is this? Am I going to get arrested? Am I going on a register?
This one's only a PG. Yeah, no. They are here to see a dead body, but for some reason Thomas J goes home and they start calling him names like Sissy and whatever else. Inside the funeral parlor, there's no dead body in the coffin, so Vader instead shows her grandmother who's in a rocking chair, and her grandmother's all senile, and the kids get all scared and run off. Like, look, it's quite obviously not a dead body, is it? Senile woman in a rocking chair.
It's just an old woman. Don't be afraid of old people.
Yeah, and straight away they're swearing. Like some kids started going, "Oh, you got to be shitting us." I'm like, oh, okay. It's one of those films,
This is how kids' films were in like the early 90s and the 80s.
Yeah,
They had loads of swearing in it.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Then we hear Vader's dad, Harry, said, "Can you bring my cigarettes down at the basement?" I was like, "Oh,
It's
yeah,
great parenting.
great parenting." And yeah, the basement is where Harry's like embalming dead bodies. And understandably, Vader's scared to go down. There's like, well, yeah, I'll be fucking scared to go down there if there was a dead body down there.
I did. There was again. I was just all these like, little thoughts I had here. There's just before she goes inside, she gives her like grandmother a hug and like sits on her lap. I'm like, don't sit on a catatonic old person. They're not
Yeah,
fucking. They're not like an occasional chair. Get away.
no,
And then yeah, why is he getting a child to bring him his cigarettes? And then Good line. I'm embalming my high school teacher. Don't sing.
Yeah, but she does because she's obsessed with singing "Do a Dee Dee," and
Yeah.
then she realizes that Arthur's down there, and he's very happy to sing with that, and he's more of a parent to her than Harry is. Because she's like, "Oh, I beat Thomas J at Monopoly," and he's not listening, but he tells Arthur, "Oh, did you? Oh, I like buying the hotels and all that sort of thing." Arthur's a good dude. But yeah, Harry's basically like, "Yeah, just get the fuck out of it." Then Vader leaves, and then she sees that that teacher died of prostate cancer on the report sheet. Like, okay then.
You know, charming, heartwarming coming of age story.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and this also seems to be the only funeral parlor in this town. Like everyone's funeral when dead people embalming go to Harry's Alders for some reason. All right, so then a camper van arrives, and I've got questions about this camper van, but we'll come back to it. And then,
It's like its TARDIS-like qualities of being bigger on the
yeah,
inside than it is on the outside.
and where does it go after work? Like, where do you live?
Just round the corner.
Why not just park outside and nobody live there? Anyway, but yeah, so we meet Shelley, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's here for a makeup job. So Vader shows her
Shelley
in.
Devoto. What kind of fucking name is Devoto? This is like screenwriters going, I just don't want to call them Smith or Jones. Why don't I call them something completely made up? How about Sultanfuss and Devoto?
And Senate. Yeah,
Yeah, not names.
not names. Yeah, Vader shows in Shelley, and she thinks at first that she's lost someone, and she's coming there to inquire about a funeral. But then she's here about this makeup job, and then Harry explains that this is a funeral parlor, not a beauty parlor. I was like, now listen, Harry, when you put that ad in the paper, do you not think you should have explicitly wrote that?
Yeah, yeah.
You just wrote makeup artist. What the fuck? Yeah, and during
He
all
also
this,
spends this entire scene looking down her top.
oh, he
Like
fancies the shit out of her instantly.
every time you cut back to him, his line of sight is down. He's like,
Well, she is dressed rather inappropriately, which he comes to in a minute. But yeah, I forgot as well. This is the second film these two are because they're in trading places, aren't they?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Actually, that hadn't occurred to me until about halfway through the film, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah. There you go. Then during all this, Grandma's wandering around and a coffin's being delivered. An invader inquires, "Why is that coffin so small? Is it for a child?" I was like, I see what you're doing. I
yeah.
see what you're doing.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, yeah. For some reason, Shelley really wants this job despite it not being ideal. And then Harry disapproves of Shelley's clothing despite clearly fancying her, but then he hires her anyway. Like, all of this seems very weird.
I mean, I don't understand why you'd get comfortable with putting makeup on dead people that quickly.
She's like,
And
really?
and the
They're dead?
reason,
Oh, okay.
no, cool. The reasons that she gives are, all my clients are going to be dead someday, and all your clients are alive once. Is that doesn't make any sense.
That's stupid. That's
That's a
really,
ter- that's a
really,
ter- that's a you could use that excuse for anything.
yeah, yeah.
Why are
Like,
you having sex with that dead body? Well, they were alive once.
yeah, exactly. Circle of life. Right. Then we get Vader and Thomas J cycling along just being kids, and we go past Nixon posters. Boo.
Now, had they said at any point prior to this that it was actually set in 1972? Did I just miss that?
No, right at the start, when the kids come over, the title card comes up.
Oh,
Madison, Pennsylvania, 1972. Yeah.
I missed that. So I had absolutely no idea this was meant to be set in 1972 until I saw the Nixon Agnew sign, and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, 1972. Yeah, they're on their way to see Vader's doctor because she's a hypochondriac and she's always assumed she's dying, and the doctor assures her that she's fine, but she wants a second opinion. I mean, you live in a funeral parlor, you're surrounded by death all the time. I kind of get it.
Also, I swore blind I recognised that doctor from something.
Yeah,
So I went to go and have a look at what else he'd been in. Nope.
That's happened to
No,
us a few times, didn't it?
it's
People have got very familiar faces.
he looks so similar to someone else, and I can't quite put my finger on who he looks like. But God, it drove me insane.
Yeah.
And I thought,
Yeah, I
was
know
he going to
what
have a
you mean.
bigger part? And I was like, no, he's actually nobody. He's not a recognisable actor. I'm like, oh shit.
There is someone coming up later, and it bugged the hell out of me when I found out who it was, and he did a backflip. But we'll come to it.
All right.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you when we get there. Tell me, and I'll see if I can guess who it is.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I might not. Yeah. Go on.
yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, Vader and actually, we're getting right to it. This bit.
Oh, is it Mr. Bixler?
Yeah, it's Jack
Okay.
from American Werewolf in London.
Well, yeah,
Oh
because
my
when I saw,
God.
and also, let me just back up. Bixler. What of a fucking surname is Bixler?
Yeah, that's
That is
really
not a name. Anyway, yeah, no, I knew that because it came up in the title credit. Griffin Dunn. I was like, oh shit, Griffin Dunn. He's just been in the last series of Only Murders in the Building. He's in After Hours, the Scorsese film. He's in American Werewolf most famously, and his sister was Dominique Dunn, I believe. Is it that her name? Oh, I
I
need
don't
to
know.
look that up. Sorry, go on, carry
I
on.
don't know. Yeah, so no, yeah. So Vader and Thomas are cycling along and singing, and they go to speak to Mr. Bixler, who's their English teacher. And yeah, he's Jack from American Werewolf in London, and he's painting a house for some reason, which he has acquired. And they start asking him, "Where have you got the money?" They're asking him some very nosy questions, and he's saying, "Oh, I'm living here alone," which contradicts what happens later on, but we'll get to that. And then Mr. Bixler says that in order to get a bit of money, he's running a poetry writing class over the summer for $35, which seems quite cheap, but apparently back then that was a lot of money. It's more like $250 or whatever for the
Yeah.
summer. Yeah.
So yeah, I just looked it up. It was Dominique Dunn was his sister. Dominique Dunn was in Poltergeist, and she
Ah.
got murdered.
Oh my God, yeah, that's part of the poltergeist curse, wasn't it? Shit.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, yeah.
That's
There you go.
sad. Wait,
It's very sad.
thanks,
He
Smith.
pulled away
Thanks.
from acting for years and years after that. But yeah,
Cool. Thanks. Send your hate mail to one Michael Smith.
please
Anyway,
do. No one sends me letters.
no, you don't. Then we get to a weird bit. So Vader's in her room listening to music. Okay, girl being a girl. And then she looks at a photo of Mr. Bixler, which has a heart drawn over it. And in the photo as well, her head is turned towards him. I was like, no, I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
No,
Why?
that was completely innocent. All I've written down there is, oh look, it's a small girl singing badly. Let's keep it going for ages.
I don't know. What's worse, that or her fancying her teacher?
I think that's a normal thing, right?
I don't know. It didn't sit well with me.
No.
But yeah, not quite strong with nonce vibes because it's the other way around. But yeah,
Oh, there's someone coming up later in this film with stronger non-vibes.
All right, we'll get to it. Right, then we get to dinner time and we meet Phil, who's Harry's brother, and then Vader's lying on the floor pretending to be dead because of her prostate, and then for some reason Grandma starts singing, and now the only one who looks concerned is Shelley. It's kind of sad. They're just letting this old
Yeah.
woman just behave like this. No one
Also,
really gives a shit.
let's not be using dementia as a punchline, shall we not?
Yeah, there's no point
Did
of
you
Grandma in this at all, other than you, like you said, a punchline.
did you recognise who was playing the brother?
Yeah, it was driving me mad. I was like, where the fuck have I seen this guy? When I went on IMDb.
Richard Mazer, who was in The Thing. He
Yep,
was Clark,
yep.
Go the Dogs, and as I think you'll probably recognise him more from because he looks exactly the same as in that film. He was Stanley Uris in the original TV adaptation of It.
Oh my God, yeah, he is. That's
Yeah,
where I was driving myself mad.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Oh, well, thank you very much. This film really does
So
have
they,
people with it.
they, yeah, well, yeah. That's when I saw him. I was like, oh, I love that guy. He was great in The Thing.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. Then we get cut to Shelley comes to talk to Vader and Thomas J. They're playing cards outside on the porch. And then some right little cows arrive to make fun of Vader. And then one of them is quite nice, Judy, and she invites her to come to the movies with them. And the other girls just say no and then start doing that childish Thomas and Vader sitting in a tree. And Shelley's just sitting there the whole time. If I was there, I'd go, why don't you guys fuck off? Like, stop being so rude.
And that is why you are not allowed to talk to children. You
Mate,
can't be telling children to fuck off.
if my son was outside with his mate and a bunch of kids started to come over and take the piss out of him, I'd tell him where to go. But Shelley's just kind of sitting there.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. But yeah.
All I wrote down was, oh, they're going to do the whole rhyme, aren't they? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You could just, I got the point after the first bit. We don't need to do the whole thing. I would do the whole thing. Ack.
He did. And then Shelley tells Vader not to be upset by those girls. Like, you could have said something, Shelley. You could have just said, yeah, piss off. But anyway, fine. Shelley offers chocolate to the kids, and we learn that Thomas J is allergic to everything.
Everything?
Everything.
But not everything. Because there was a couple of scenes later, I think, oh, is he going to be allergic? No.
Oh, like when they have a soda. I was like, oh, he's
Yeah.
fine with that.
You thought, is he
Yeah.
going to be allergic? Is that going to be a thing? Like, is he going to start choking and they're going to have a whole thing about him having this? No. No, he just had a soda.
Yeah. So it's chocolate and the other thing that's coming up later. Shelley notices Vader's mood ring, and the color apparently never changes. It's like, wonder if this is going to come back as well. Then Vader asks Shelley where she can get $35 for Mr. Bixler's writing class. She said she can ask your dad, and I've written down, sure, see how that goes. Yeah, Vader
This is what's going to happen when your kid comes to you when he's older. Goes, oh, Dad, can I have 250 quid? You're like, you fuck off.
The thing is, he makes a really good point because the next scene, Vader comes to see her dad. He's watching some garbage on telly, and he goes, "Can I have $35 for writing class? You did last year. You want to be a ventriloquist, and the year before that, you wanted to play like the violin and all that sort of thing." He goes, "Oh, you forgot about the time I wanted to be a magician as well." So yes, quite possibly if my son came to me asking me for 200 quid when 2 years prior he gave up, he started something and gave up immediately, I would say no. There you go. Right. Okay. This bit's annoying. Vader's playing basketball indoors, and instantly it's like, no, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, you've got a massive great garden. There's parks. There's a road. All that shit. Why are you playing basketball indoors? Really annoying.
You can feel the stress cranking up
Oh
on
my
you
God.
as you were watching that. You're like, oh, doesn't break nothing, even though she does drop the ball down the stairs.
That's true. That's true.
I was expecting there to be a big old clatter and crash at the bottom there. No.
No. But Arthur's given her advice. Then, even though he gives her advice, she ignores all that advice, and then Vader drops the ball down the stairs into the basement, and there's a body down there. Ooh. Also, should you be keeping? Oh, it's been embalmed. I was gonna say, should you be keeping a body out there? Should it be in an ice box or something like that?
Why would you keep the fucking door open?
Well, yeah. Surely that's
Yeah,
a bit of
anything
a
like you're gonna get cats coming in and eating the dead bodies, right? Is that what you want? Cats, because that's how you
that's
get
what happened.
cats.
Yeah,
Is that what you want? Because that's what happened.
yeah, yeah.
Cats.
Um, yeah. So she goes downstairs to get her ball, and then Shelley walks past and closes the basement door, and then Vader's getting really scared, and she can't get out and start singing. But then Shelley just like immediately lets her out. Like, oh, where's that? It would have been a better scene if she got locked in there overnight with a dead body or something. I was really traumatized in the morning. You know what I mean? But it's just got, let me out. I'll let you out. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Got trapped there and I was forced to eat the dead body for sustenance.
Yeah. We
I
have to
mean,
drink toilet water.
I've seen things, man. I've drunk embalming fluid. It was grape flavored. I don't like it.
But I would have liked something like that. Like her father is so neglectful, he hasn't even realised she's been locked in the basement all night or something like that. But no, we don't get any of that.
He's
Um,
neglectful. He's not a monster.
well, I don't know. Yeah, true. Right, next morning we get Shelley putting makeup on a dead woman, but Harry said he's made her look like a $2 hooker, which I thought was really funny. And he asks her to fix it. And then Shelley asks, well, what's wrong with Vader, as she seems obsessed with death, and basically Harry tells her to mind her own fucking business. I'm like, okay.
Fair as well.
What, mind your own business or that
Yeah,
Shelley
mind your own fucking business.
Yeah, there you go. We get kids playing jump rope with Uncle Phil, and then they go into Shelley's camper. And again, I've written down, why does she park? Where does she park? And where does she sleep if we're not working? Maybe it's just literally round the corner.
Yeah, there's probably like a lot. I assume with camper vans you park in lots.
Oh, okay, like a proper campsite or something like
Yeah.
that. Okay. They go inside Shelley's camper because they're fascinated by it. I mean, I would be if I was a kid, like, wow, it's a house on wheels. And then Shelley offers the kid.
as a child, I'm like, wow, House of Wheels. Wow, House of Wheels with Jamie Lee Curtis in it.
Well, yes. And then Shelley offers the kids a soda, and I thought, what is powering that fridge? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, see, that I'd like
1972.
to know, right? If any of our listeners have a camper van and it has a fridge unit in it, how does that get powered whilst you're not running the engine? I assume battery.
Yeah, I would imagine a generator or a battery, but RVs and camper vans have come a long way since 1972.
And batteries famously weren't invented till 1983. So
There you go.
maybe she had like a hamster on a wheel
Could be.
or like a small child pedaling away, like at the end of Snowpiercer.
Oh God, yeah, that was a good film. There you go. Yeah, Shelley offers the kids a soda, and then Vader starts reading Shelley's sexy books, and then
I
Vader
said, yeah, living in a camper van and reading porn. You've succeeded, lady.
yeah, and she's the most 70s thing in this. Like no one else really looks that 70s. She looks proper 70s in this.
I don't know. There's a couple of people coming up who look really 70s.
All right, we'll get to it. Oh, actually, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, they're proper 70s. Vader asks Shelley if she's married, and Shelley explains no, she's divorced. So, wonder if this will come back. And then Thomas J just says, "Can I have a cookie?" He doesn't even wait to say yes. He goes to a cookie drawer and sees that there's a shitload of cash in there. Like, oh dear, I see where this is going. Vader goes to use Shelley's bog in the cab, and we can only assume she's nicked some money. As next, we're at Mr. Bixler's writing class, and Vader arrives having paid the money. Like, where did you get this money from? So yeah, so Vader's arrived at the writing class, and Mr. Bixler's not sure whether she should join because it's an adult writing class, but the hippies in the class urge her to let her join. And then one of the hippies reads like this really inappropriate, sexy poem, and then there's a bloke behind called Ray, and he seems to be really getting off on this poem. Like, oh, yeah, go on. Yeah.
Rhonda with her terrible, terrible, terrible poem. Like, it is awful.
Yeah. Is her name Rhonda? I didn't even catch her name.
Yeah, Rhonda. And there's the curly head guy whose name's like Justin or Jason or something. Getting real strong nonce vibes off him.
Yeah. And also, who the hell is he? He looks so familiar.
I don't know actually. That's a good one. I don't know. Didn't look familiar to me.
Right. You look that up while I carry on.
I will.
Then after the sexy inappropriate poem, Vader then reads a poem about ice cream, and then Mr. Bixler tells her it's shit. Really, really shit. And then he tells her to write something that tells him about who she really is. And then Vader's monologue explains that she killed her mother. I was like, okay. Let's see.
Well, yeah, again, though, that's really just it's I mean the odd bits of voiceover are weird. It's also just really bad writing. Like you get to that later in the film anyway, that she feels guilty about killing her
Hmm,
mum. Like you
yeah.
don't need to do that here. It's just it's if you just ex kind of work this out via like characters, actions, and conversation rather than just
Hmm,
have someone tell something to the screen. It's very, very, very
yeah.
lazy.
No, I agree. I agree. Then we cut to a weird scene where Shelley's at the funeral home, and then Harry's playing a tuba and singing to his mum, and then Shelley comes to see. And I was like, what the fuck is all this? Like,
I've written down
why?
here Dan Aykroyd looks like the. To be fair, Dan Aykroyd looks like the kind of guy who plays the tuba.
Yeah, I think so. And he's got a good voice. I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, he's in the Blues Brothers. So yeah, of course.
So I always find this so weird with Dan Aykroyd, right? Dan Aykroyd, kind of, you see him in the Blues Brothers, right?
Mm.
Rail thin,
Mm,
tall, lanky, doesn't look like that in any other film that he's in.
true.
Like, looks completely different. Then you see him in like Ghostbusters Trading Places, and it's like, okay, I see Dan Aykroyd there as this kind of like schlubby, but like,
Mm.
likable character. And then at some point, roughly around him, he just becomes fat middle-aged man.
Yeah. He still looks like that now. He's like 75. It's crazy.
Yeah,
He's not really
yeah.
aged.
He then didn't age, but yeah, he just looks. I mean, in this, I think at this point, I think I looked it up. He's something. He's like 49 years old when they
Yeah.
film this,
Sounds about right.
but he looks it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, Harry apologizes for being rude to Shelley about Vader, and then Harry explains that his mother's gone senile and she moved in shortly after Harry's wife died. So I guess yeah, that's an extension of what we've just learned, that Vader
Mm.
feels that she's killed her mother. We get Thomas J and Vader are fishing, and they're playing on a tree. And then as they go to put the fish back, Vader cuts her finger on the hook on her hand, and then she gets Thomas J to pick a scab on his arm, and then they swap blood to be brothers. And I've written down that, kids, is how you get AIDS.
Well, actually, one of the things I found out in my Smith trivia, and I'll cover it now, is the BBFC put a warning on this film about not doing that
Mm,
to cease the transmission of AIDS.
quite rightly so. It was rife in
But this,
91,
yeah, but
92.
yeah, but it wasn't in 1972.
Ah, true, true.
So I'm just looking at this guy, the non-vibes, Tom Villard, who played Justin. I was right the first time.
Mm.
Is in nothing in particular that I've ever seen. I don't think. No, but he died in 1994,
Yeah,
the age of 40.
that's fucked up.
Yeah, there
Couple
you
of
go.
years after this film. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah. We get Harry's writing a death notice, and Shelley comes in flirting with him for some reason, and then hints for him to take her out to
yeah.
the
For some reason, I've written that. Like, why?
why
Why is she
why
flirting with this man?
this fat old man. Yeah.
Also,
And
he's been nothing but rude to her.
yeah, yeah.
He, when she first came in, he just eye fucked her while he was interviewing her, and then he's been nothing but horrible to her since
Yeah,
then. And she's
yeah,
thought, this guy, what a catch.
yeah. Treat her mean. Yeah. Yeah. So she's trying to hint for him to take her out to the movies, but instead he invites her to play church bingo to put down you old romantic Harry.
he also types how I type with two fingers.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Don't work like that. Going tap 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 tap. Ching. Everyone's like, "Why are you doing that?" I don't know. Force a habit.
it's funny. Then we get Vader sees Shelley putting makeup on, and so oh, I've never done that before. So Shelley puts makeup on Vader. They have a bit of a bonding moment.
Makes
And
you
then
look like a clown.
like, a complete clown, and she looks exactly like that dead woman she put the makeup on.
Well, now I once played as people who know me know a Panto Dame,
Mm.
and as part of that Panto Dame character, I had blue eyeshadow,
Mm.
big blue eyeshadow, and I was looking at that. I was like, I could have done that. Looks like my makeup from when I was the Dame.
You could have been Vader Sulfur, yeah.
Okay. Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. 6-year-old me could have played Vader Sultan Fuss. It wouldn't have been any way confusing. I wonder if they use Sultan Fuss um, in their marketing. Like, if you want a funeral with the minimum of fuss, Sultan Fuss.
They look no further than Sulfur. Yeah. Oh, you missed a trick there. Right. Then we
Sultan
get
Fuss, the busybody person from the Middle East. Sultan
yeah.
Fuss. Hello.
Enough.
Okay.
Right.
I've amused myself.
Good. At least someone has. Right. So Vader's trying to be sexy around Thomas J for some reason, who isn't impressed. So instead, they just get their bikes from the garage. Now, in the garage, they find an old photo of Harry and Vader's mum from years back, and Thomas J asks what Vader thinks it's like in heaven. I was like, But the foreshadowing in this is ridiculous.
Almost as ridiculous as the eyeshadow. Oh,
Oh. Oh, this seems fucking funny now. So Harry's getting ready for his date with Shelley, and Phil comes in to give
Sorry,
him advice. Phil comes in to give him advice.
can I just roll it back a bit
Yeah,
to
sure.
where she discussed what she thought heaven was like?
Yeah.
Right? It sounds like fucking terrible heaven.
Didn't she say like
One,
ice cream and ponies and
everyone
junk?
gets their own white horse.
Yeah,
Right? I don't want a horse. I don't like horses. They're big and they're dumb and they kick people. Right? I don't want
correct,
one.
correct.
Right? Macaulay Culkin, he raises concerns about this. I'm with him. Right? It's silly. Then people eat marshmallows all day. Right? One, you're gonna get diabetes. Two, you'll be sick of marshmallows after a while. It's a lot of sugar. You're gonna give yourself the shits. Three, you're best friends with everyone. I don't want to be best friends with anyone.
Yeah, can you imagine
I
that?
don't. I don't want everybody up in my business all day, every day. I don't want to be best friends with everyone. Imagine trying to plan anything. You're best friends with everyone. Let's all go out to the cinema. How many of us? Oh, several billion. Oh, what a good
Oh,
idea, right? When you play sports, no teams, chaos. I don't want to be any part of it. Also, why am I playing sports? I'm in heaven. We sit in my house watching TV and drinking beer alone, right? Then
that's my
the
idea of heaven.
horses,
Yeah,
and then because he raises these concerns about the horses have wings. That's just making a horse worse. You're adding a third dimension to the ways in which they can fuck you over. This is not a good heaven, and it's not been thought through.
but you thought
Anyway,
about this plenty.
oh yeah, I did. I was sat there last night and I went on a rant. And my other half said, "Could we stop now? It's 10 past 10, and this you've been going for 40 minutes. I'd like to go to bed." And I
As
said,
you
"And
should.
another thing, where are you
Wake
getting all
her
the
up.
sugar for these marshmallows? What kind of industry have they got in this heaven?"
Plus, he's allergic to everything, so he couldn't eat that anyway.
Probably not allergic to marshmallows. You can't be allergic
Probably
to
not.
marshmallows. It's just sugar.
There you go. Right. Anyway, so
Anyway, carry on.
carry on. Back to Harry's date with Shelley, and Phil comes in to give him advice and starts like beating him up, and then apparently Phil is regularly beating women away with a shitty stick because he's a ladies' man. I'm like, this dude, this dude's a ladies' man. All right, cool, cool.
It's the moustache. It's 1972.
It is sexy. Yeah,
Ladies love a moustache.
they do. And then Phil tells Harry not to treat her like a lady, so like don't open doors for her, let her pay, like basically just be a prick. Because like, well, Harry's kind of been like that already, so just start as you mean to go on, I guess. Yeah,
He's such a fucking ham fist a bit later as well when he doesn't open the car door for her. He just makes
yeah,
such a show of not doing it. It's like just
yeah,
it's just awkward. And also, I've written down you the first date you've had in 20 years, and you've chosen that shirt.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty awful, even for 70 standards. Yeah, and then actually on cue, Vader asks why Harry's dressed up for bingo and says he's going with Shelley, but Vader can't come as well. So she's a bit suspicious. So she goes over to Thomas J's house and covertly tells him to come outside and come with him. I was like, but he's not covert. He kind of goes like, stands up and he walks out. With his parents are like, where you going? We're watching this film.
And it slams the door behind him. It's like, you just go outside. Yeah, but I can't be bothered to get up.
Yeah, this was
What's the
banging.
worst that could happen?
There's no bees there. Anyway,
Nope,
yeah.
certainly no bees here in Bee City, USA.
Quiet.
Go
It's
bees.
a little too quiet. Right. Anyway,
If only there
so
was some sort of bee expert who could come and tell us about these bees. Don't worry, I'm sure he'll turn up later.
yeah. Right. So Vader and Thomas J are spying on Harry and Shelley playing bingo, and then Harry's about to kiss Shelley, and then Vader calls out bingo in a distorted voice to disrupt the game, and then two old boys just start having a fight for some reason.
I thought that was quite funny. Like, oh, there's somebody outside who couldn't have had a bingo. Kick your ass.
Stop rapping each other.
Yeah, it's funny.
Oh, Dan Aykroyd made a good line at one point. He said, "I just think some of these people end up being your clients." You went, "How do you think we got these seats?" I was like, "Oh,
I was enjoying the bit where he's talking about how he's worked out a system to get more action. Like, you win more? No. just
yeah,
just more action.
yeah." Then we get back to Shelley's camper van, and then they share some really awkward dialogue and a dance and a kiss and just all of this thing shit. And we learn that
I mean,
Harry's wife.
he is punching well above his weight there.
Oh, totally. I just don't know. Don't get why she's into this. But yeah, you're right. Before they get to the camper van, he just doesn't bother opening the car door for her. But yeah, just makes a right tit of himself doing it. Yeah, we learn Harry's wife died 2 days after Vader was born, and he only met her very briefly. So there you go. And then the date seems to have gone well because Harry's like, maybe I'll take you to that movie drive-in theater afterwards. Oh, Harry, you've definitely kept her keen. Right, we get to Mr. Bickler's writing class, and the hippies are getting everyone to do some stupid sensory shit, but it doesn't work for Vader. It's like, well, that's because it doesn't work for anyone. There's a load of bollocks. Like,
Also, you're holding hands with a nonce. That guy
yeah,
is grabbing onto her going, oh, I want to feel what's in my soul. It's like, oh, yeah, noncy. That's what's in your soul, mate.
proper
Get off
nonce
that little
vibes.
girl. There's a lot of
Yeah.
hugging of kids that's going on here. Like there's a lot of like the teacher gives her a hug. It's like, don't be hugging her.
Yeah. It's the 70s, isn't it?
Don't be hugging kids that aren't your own kids.
Yeah. Especially if you're a teacher, that's more alarm bells ringing. But that night, Vader goes to see her grandmother, and she tries to feel what her grandma feels from learning that sensory shit that didn't work earlier on, which I thought was a nice thing. What happens next? Next day, we go to the supermarket, and Harry and Vader run into Shelley. Vader's being really rude to Shelley, and then Vader starts trying to embarrass Harry, saying, "Oh, did you need to get loads of prunes or something?" And then
You ever
it's like,
eaten a prune?
I've never eaten a prune or drunk
No, I don't
prune
think I've
juice.
ever eaten. I, no, I don't think I've ever eaten a prune or drunk prune juice. I mean, I know they're dried plums, and I've drunk
Mm.
plum wine, but maybe that's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's one of your five a day.
Did the plum wine give you the shits like prune juice is supposed to?
No, but it got me drunk.
Oh, well, there you
In
go.
the end, isn't that all that really matters?
Well, of course. Um, Vader just starts throwing random shit in the shopping trolley, which really upset me. So, oh no, no, don't do that.
You've
No,
got
because
that. You've got that to look forward to, mate.
like, I might get to the other side, and he doesn't realise he hadn't bought that stuff. They've got a lot of unnecessary stuff. That it just really
He
annoyed
did
me.
say to her, throw whatever you want in there.
Oh,
That's
throw some
dangerous. That's
beer,
dangerous. Don't ever say that to
crisps.
a kid, yeah?
Yeah, yeah,
Throw whatever I want in there. Go on.
yeah.
Then I'll tell your mum when we got home. Oh, no.
Oh, look what happened. PS5 game. Yep. Then we get his July 4th barbecue, and Harry's playing that tuba again, and everyone's singing the national anthem. So, our American viewers, like, does this happen? Do you pledge allegiance, start singing, or do you just get piss ass drunk and then get a load of barbecue food? Let us know.
Yeah, we sing the English national anthem, um, but the first two lines, and then we don't know any of the rest of it.
Plus, generally, at sporting events, but don't just start
Yeah, sporting
singing the
events.
song.
No, I don't think I've ever sung it beyond the first two lines, and only then at a sporting event, or
Exactly.
ironically.
Yeah, there you go. Right, so they're all enjoying their hot dog and burgers and all that, and then Shelley's ex-husband turns up with some other douche, and they're the most 70s looking dudes you've ever met in your life.
When they were walking up the driveway, I was like, "Why is he walking like he shit himself?" he's he's walking like he doesn't. He's got a pants full of shit. And he's trying not to
Yeah,
get it down his leg.
yeah.
Oh, oh, oh.
And he just looks like Disco Stew from The Simpsons. It's hilarious.
He's about
Um,
50.
yeah, yeah. So you find out that's Shelley's ex-husband. Is that Ralph or I can't remember.
Danny.
Danny. Ralph is the brother. That's
Yeah.
it. He starts giving Shelley shit, saying, "Oh, I want that camper van back," even though he's got that Mustang. It's like that is a really nice looking car, and he's bothered about that shitty old camper van. But all right, cool. Um, and then he's been a right arsehole demanding it back, and then Harry punches him and basically threatens to murder him and bury him in his garden. I'm like, none of what you've done, Harry, is legal.
Although, yeah, the 1970s, when you could just threaten people, it's a different times. He literally punches him and threatens to kill him. And then, in the next scene, they're leaving several hours later because
And
it's
also,
suddenly dark.
and Jamie Lee Curtis was all Jamie Lee Curtis is very cordial. She goes, "Oh, I'll see you later. Drive safe." Well, hang on, what? What
Did
happened
they
in the
stick
space of
around and
3
have
hours?
dinner?
Maybe. Saw the error of
He's
his
like, right,
ways.
now that I've punched you and threatened to murder you, and I own a funeral home, so I could probably do it. Also, I got a tuba. You know what they say about men with tubas.
You
Serial
do.
killers, every last man jack one of them. He's like, oh, well, you know what? I will take up an offer of that burger a bit while I'm here. Might as well.
Might as well.
Also, I've shit myself. Would you mind if I use your bathroom to change my kecks? It's it's so weird. It's like,
Yeah,
why are they
really
there
bizarre.
3 hours later?
That always makes me laugh when that happens in films. It's like a lovely summer's day and suddenly it's dark. What happened? Get Harry and Shelley admiring the fireworks as Vader and Uncle Phil are also looking on. And then Phil explains Harry likes Shelley very much. She's good for him. Harry used to be funny as he's been sad for a very long time, but since he's met Shelley, he's not sad anymore. I was like, have they known each other like a week? Like,
They used to be so funny. Blues Brothers, Ghostbusters.
yeah, yeah. But no, now he's doing this garbage. He seems to be back to his old self. So Vader's going to that doctor again about that chicken bone that's apparently in her throat, and then the secretary gives Thomas J some syringes to use as water guns. And then Thomas J explains why
Wouldn't
Vader
get
comes
that.
to him all the
Wouldn't
time.
get that in the American healthcare system. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Costs about $70 each.
oh, can you imagine? Yeah, that's true actually. Why would you just give him some empty old syringes? Yeah, nah,
Just have
you're
morphine in it. It's fine.
right. Yeah, yeah. Thomas J says Vader comes here all the time because she's obsessed with death, but they're best friends. And then yeah, then we get to see where these bastard kids are pissed around with their water guns, and they decide to shoot a beehive and throw rocks at it, and it really fucks off the bees. I'm like, right, you kind of had this coming, right?
Well, yeah, I did it. Kind of brought this on yourself a bit.
If you just do what you normally did, walk through the woods and go to your tree by the river, none of this shit would have happened. But yeah, no,
No, no.
they start to throw rocks at it, shoot water, the bees get annoyed and chase them, and then they just jump into the lake, and that's kind of the end of that scene. It's like, right, okay. But I always remember that being in the trailer as well, like this really pivotal moment of the film. It's like, yeah, but it's not.
Another scene.
Another scene. Oh yeah, and during all this, Vader's lost her mood ring. So yeah, that's the end of that. Back home.
Yeah, and that's the end of that scene.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Loses the mood ring, they jump in the water.
Did you ever climb a tree as a kid?
Yeah, most
I
times.
don't think I ever did.
Probably too scared.
Yeah, well, yeah, a mixture of that and also like, what's up there? All right, I'm up here now. Great.
I
Now
think
what?
there's a sense of achievement, like, oh, I reached
No,
the top or something. I
no, all right, great. I didn't, but I'm also not now up a tree doing
Yeah.
nothing, being bored. I'm down here with a TV.
I also remember seeing in a cartoon once when Inspector Gadget was falling and then like an umbrella came out of his hat and he glided down. So once I climbed up a tree with an umbrella and I jumped out of the tree, didn't work.
Right, your legs.
It really hurt. Uh,
Is that true?
yeah, that's true. That's true.
You
When I was
fucking
about six
idiot.
or seven, I know. I know. Kids will be kids.
Didn't you also fall off your slanted roof once and all?
Yep. Yeah. Smashed all my chin open, ruptured a tooth. Yep. Did that. You name it, I've done it. Anyway, right. So they're back home. No, Vader's back home, and Harry announces they're going to the carnival, but we're last with Shelley. And Vader's like, oh. At the carnival, she wins a goldfish in a game, but then spots that Shelley's got an engagement ring on her finger, and Harry explains him and Shelley are getting married at the end of the summer. And I thought, haven't they been dating for 2 weeks?
It was a different time, Stu. You've had it was a different time. You've had one date, you've threatened her ex-husband, now you have to marry her.
Well, of
That's
course.
how it works. Also, this is a terrible way to tell your child you're getting married to a new woman. How you do it, I suspect, not being married and not having any kids, is that I would sit them down and be like, oh, I really like her and I'd like to get married, but I want your opinion and I want you to feel like you've had
Mm,
some say in it. And if you say no, I'll just ask again next week until you've changed your mind because you're a kid and kids are fucking idiots. They change their mind all the time.
yeah.
So you don't just like get engaged and then randomly on a night out go, I'm just going to sit here on this carnival game, blocking it so nobody else can play, and tell you that I'm going to get married to this woman. I love her very much. And if you object, you're bollocks.
Yeah, none of this seems fair. But I don't know. Maybe there's no pulling the wool over their eyes. She knew that was an engagement ring, but yeah. Also, yeah, he bought that really quick and proposed to her really quick.
It's his dead wife.
Oh god, yeah, you're right. The morbid
Or,
bastard. That probably
or
is.
he's just taking it off of one of the patients that he has
Yeah,
downstairs.
the
Oh,
grave
yeah.
robber. Yeah. Right. Then Vader and Shelley go on the bumper cars, and Vader keeps smacking into Shelley. The Bad Moon Rising. I thought, oh, that's two connections to American Werewolf in London. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, well, indeed, it's the second Creedence song as well.
Yep. Oh, what was the first
When Danny turned up, he was listening
one?
to a
Yeah.
Creedence song.
There you
I was like, oh, two Creedence songs in one film. You're talking my language, movie.
go. Not a lot, hell of a lot more, but yeah. Right. Vader comes over to see Thomas J at his house and tells him that he's running away at California, and they hang out at the river, and then Vader calls Thomas a retard. I was like, oh no, that hasn't aged well. No, 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 don't do that.
Yeah, it hasn't, and I think it's interesting. If you look at it as like something from 1991, you probably think that that word was probably still in regular use then,
Yeah.
but it definitely would have been in the 1970s. And in some ways, it's a kind of a weird nod to the fact that it was set in the 1970s
Mm,
because there's not much else in there beyond saying it's set then
yeah.
that would lead you to believe that it was set in the 1970s.
I kind of like that it was set in the 1970s. It's different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it didn't. I don't think it had much bearing on it.
It's a bit like the original It, the 1991. He's set in the 50s, and I kind of like that as well. Although I did actually like the remake that's set in the 1980s as well. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
cool. Yeah, they're hanging out for ages, and then Thomas J says, "Oh, he likes Shelley. What's the problem?" and all that sort of thing. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm just going home. I've had enough of this running away from home shit." And then Vader's done running away from home, and she goes home. No one's even noticed that she's gone. Harry's just fallen asleep in front of the telly again. Doesn't notice when she's in the basement. Doesn't notice when she's run away from home. Terrible.
You wouldn't,
Terrible.
right? If your kid just goes out playing all day, every day, and they go out and then they come back, you're going to think they've run away. She hasn't run away. She's gone to where she always goes and then came home again, roughly about the same time that she comes home.
Yeah, or they would just assume, oh, it's really late. She's probably having dinner at Thomas J's house or something
Yeah,
like that.
I ran away from home once when I was a kid. But I didn't get very far because I wasn't allowed to cross the road. So I just sort of
Yeah,
went around the
classic,
block.
classic.
And I couldn't even get that far because I didn't want to go that far. I don't know. It's a different road. I don't know anyone who lives on this road.
There's a
Not go
nonce
down
around
that
the corner.
road.
Yeah,
Probably was.
yeah. Right. Anyway, next day Vader gets her period, and then Shelley explains about the birds and the bees, and then that's kind of the end of that. I'm
Talk
like,
that talk fucking escalated. Oh, she's like, well, we need to have a talk. And then at the end, it's like she talked about sex. Like, whoa, one thing at a time.
yeah, but how do you explain that with not explaining about the bigger picture?
Very
Because
simply, I would imagine. I don't know.
yeah, but you
I,
start asking
I,
questions. But why does this happen? That sort of
I
thing.
wouldn't.
Yeah. Where did children come from? The stork. The stork brings the baby. Yeah.
Where did children come from? Dog, do you know that?
She said to
But
talk to
mum,
you. Fuck.
but mum's dead. Teachers will tell you when it's time.
Yeah, I'm dreading having that conversation with my son. But anyway, right. Uh, Thomas Jay's arrived shortly after this. Vader tells him to fuck off and not come back for 5 to 7 days. And again, that's the end of that. It's like, oh, right, she got a period. And okay, next scene.
All I've written down here is women. Am I right, guys?
Right.
No.
Yeah. We get the funeral service the next day, and Vader's supposed to be keeping watch on her grandma. I was like, hell of a lot of responsibility for an 11-year-old to watch this old woman and make sure she doesn't do anything stupid. But she's more
Yeah.
preoccupied on spying on her dad and Shelley, who are kissing. I was like, what is Shelley
Inappropriate.
wearing?
There's a funeral on.
Yeah,
What are you
yeah,
doing?
yeah. They're getting off with each other. I was like, all right. And then during all this, Grandma comes at the funeral service and starts singing, which upsets everyone. It really pisses off Harry. Like, Harry's absolutely got a point with this. I would be fucking furious if I was at a funeral and some old cow walked in and started acting like a lunatic. You know?
I'd be like, man, it's weird. Kind of cut the tension though.
Yeah,
Quite
that's true.
nice. I
Especially
was
had a good
crying.
voice.
I was a bit upset before this, but now I feel a bit better about the world.
All right, fine. I'll arrange it for you. Right. Vader gets runs off upset when Harry starts shouting at her, and then yeah, we'll move on to another scene now. No consequence of that. Next day, Vader and Thomas J decide to share a first kiss, even though Vader says she's going to marry Mr. Bixler. And then I'm like, oh yeah, then there's a point where Thomas J says you can't marry Mr. Bixler. It's illegal. Like, yeah, you're quite right. Oh, because he give you like straight A's. Like, no, it's illegal because it's Nazi.
Because the man's 25 years older than her.
Yes, it's deeply, deeply problematic. Yeah, yeah. So they share a
I
first
mean,
kiss.
I mean, you say that right, and it is, but it's not him fancying her.
No, that's what makes it a bit better. But yeah.
It makes it like I'm sure there are lots of kids that have crushes on older people. As long as those aren't returned, it's fine.
All right, fine. But then on the way home, obviously Thomas J is really excited they had a kiss, and he said, "Asked Vader, would you ever think of me if you didn't get married, Mr. Bixler?" She goes, "Oh, I guess," and cycles off. And then here comes that notorious scene. So Thomas J, because presumably they've shared a kiss, because a few days have gone on since they jumped in the river and she lost her mood ring, but only now he's decided to go back and get it. So
Yeah.
Thomas J goes back to look for Vader's mood ring, and those pesky bees are still at large, and then yeah, they sting the absolute shit out of him. But he does find the mood ring though, so there's a positive talk there.
Yep, and he clutches it in his cold, dead hands.
Yeah,
This is the scene I wish I had warned my partner about when we were watching it because I hadn't. And she was sitting there enjoying this kind of amiable, heartwarming, as they call it, coming of age drama. And suddenly, bam, tragedy.
and she was sobbing, was she?
Oh, God, yeah. I wasn't because I have no soul.
No, and this didn't make me cry at all. It didn't make me feel sad. And
Oh, no, the funeral scene made me feel a bit sad.
really, like I've recently had
Yeah.
bereavement in my family, and I went to a funeral, and watching this scene didn't stir up any shit for me. I was just watching. I was like, all right, this is just
Where
out of the blue and nowhere, and I don't really feel anything for this.
the scene, because it's the next scene where Dan Aykroyd comes to tell her that poor Thomas J has died. And the
Yeah,
first thing I wrote down was, I'm surprised that carnival fish is still alive.
yeah, she dropped it on the floor earlier, didn't she?
Yeah, also, carnival fish, they always die after about a week. Or this might only be a week. It's hard to tell how much time has passed at any point during this film. Um,
Also, sorry, just to rewind back a bit, before Dan Aykroyd comes in her room to tell her about Thomas J, a cop arrives to tell Dan Aykroyd, why has a cop come over? The cops
well,
would have
because
gone to Thomas J's house.
they would have done, but also he's the funeral director, so I'm assuming they've come to tell him
Well, no,
because he's the funeral director.
that'd be the duty of the parents to then instruct the funeral director. Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter. It just for me, plot reasons, this is why it happens. Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
right, yeah. And then Harry comes to tell Vader what's happened, and yeah, this bit's fucking funny. Like it's unintentionally really, really, really funny. He was like, something happened to Thomas J yesterday. he steps on a beehive because I told him not to tease those bees. Maybe I should go over there and yell at him. No, you can't, sweetheart.
There were just too many of them. Too many of them. It feels like a bad 1970s disaster film like The Swarm with Michael Caine. You spent Michael Caine to just wander in and be like, base. Thousands of Africa killer base. And they got Thomas J. And I told him, don't go stepping on beehives.
I'm surprised this scene has never been parodied, like in a scary movie or something like that. Just with that exact sort of shit.
Oh, I'm
There's just
sure
too many of them. Yeah.
the bears. The many bears.
Oh, but yeah, my wife was getting really upset during this scene and the next scene as well. It did nothing to me. I was like, oh, I just think it's
I
kind
was
of
like
funny.
sitting there dutifully writing my notes and I don't know, floods of tears.
Well, I don't get it. I've seen much sadder films than this.
I was like, but you do know that Macaulay Culkin isn't dead, right?
Yeah, not well, the actor isn't, no, but that by
No,
that
this is
logic, nobody dies
none of
then.
none of this is true. This is all why are you crying?
Yep. Um, and yeah, the next scene, Vader's gone to see a doctor because she can't breathe. She went, oh, the bees, it hurts me so much. He's almost turned into the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man. Ah, another bees.
Base.
So stupid.
They will sting you en masse. They're right
Yeah,
bastards.
yeah, no, awful. And then I can only assume this is Thomas J who's then being wheeled at the funeral home, but that body underneath the sheet looks massive.
It's a 40-year-old man. Mr. Mr. Culkin's stunt double. Hi there, my name's Randy. I did the bit where I fell out of the tree and I got stung by the bees.
But I mean, it must be Thomas J, because why would there just be a random scene of Arthur and Harry just wheeling in somebody else? Why does that matter? But yeah,
No,
he
it's
couldn't leave
definitely
away.
going to be him. Yeah.
Yeah. We learn that Vader doesn't want to leave her room, and that girl Judy we saw in that one scene earlier on has come over to see her. I'm like, why? What? Why? You haven't bothered her all this time. Why have you suddenly come over now?
Because I'll say my theory at the end.
Okay, okay. Then we get the Thomas J's funeral service again. Heart of Stone. This didn't upset me at all. Shelley tells Vader she should come downstairs for the funeral because it'd be good for you. Sure, I guess. 11-year-old seeing her mate, dead in a coffin. Fine. And then Shelley's talking to Harry about Vader, and he's been a real cold-hearted arsehole about it. Going, what do you want me to do about it? And she goes, stop ignoring your daughter. He goes, stop being so concerned with the dead and be concerned with the living. Oh, that's awful script writing.
Well, this is very again 1970s parenting. It's like, what do you want me to do about it? I can't bring you back from the dead.
I mean, fair. Yeah. Yeah, and then as the minister's giving the eulogy for Thomas J, Vader comes in to see him. She gets all hysterical. Going, he can't see without his glasses. Oh, look at the things on his face, all that sort of thing. And then she runs away. And then, of all fucking people, she goes to see Mr. Bixler and tells him that she loves him and she wants to marry him. And then at this point, he reveals he's got a fiance, which makes Vader run away again. I was like, why didn't you just tell her you had a fiance earlier on when you were painting that house? Because he said, oh,
Maybe he didn't earlier. Everyone's getting engaged in about 2 dates here, so maybe he didn't have one. It was a different time, Stu. It was a
yeah,
different time.
that's a
Also,
fair.
I love the fact it's like, oh, I was just on my way to your house. You are 20 minutes late for a funeral.
Oh yeah,
What are
that
you
shit wouldn't
What
fly.
are you doing? Like, if you're that late, don't go.
Yeah, no, that's rude to turn up halfway for a funeral service. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
sorry, she couldn't find her earrings. Oh, what we like?
He lives like next door, though.
Oh no, there's no excuse to be late. It's a fucking funeral,
Yeah,
right? I mean, if you're late to a wedding, it's bad enough. If you're late to a birthday party, it's understandable. Don't be late to a fucking funeral.
that's so disrespectful. Anyway, Vader's at the tree by the river. That's where we get all the monologue of the conversations her and Thomas J have, and looks at that photo of her parents again. And Vader arrives home as a cop is there. The cop has done fuck all, and then Vader comes back and is like, oh, well, my work here is done.
Oh, there she is. Found her.
There you go.
She was she was in the hallway all along.
Well, a bit in ET where the cop was there. They just shut the fridge and Elliot's there. But yeah. We get Shelley putting Vader to bed, and she confesses she stole the $35 for the riot class. And Shelley
Yeah.
isn't upset about it. I put down, I fucking would be.
Yeah, but even if she is right, crafty old Vader, that's the time to admit to petty theft. Your best friend's just died. Can't do anything, right? When when you die, I would be like, oh no, Stu died, and I've embezzled thousands. But Stu died.
All right,
Huh? Huh?
bear that in mind. Bear that in mind.
I didn't embezzle thousands though.
No,
Ah,
I'm
God.
embezzling.
Got away with that.
Yeah. And then yeah, she gives Shelley a big hug. So I guess at this point she's kind of accepted you're going to be my stepmother.
I
Um,
mean, she seems
she's
like a
fine.
nice person.
There's nothing wrong with Jamie because that's is what this film was missing. If there was a little hint that she was a bit of a bitch or she was manipulating Harry, no, she's just
I
a
don't
nice
think it needs that. I
person.
don't think it needs that because then you give them you kind of lose the whole drive of just kind of growing up. There
Yeah.
doesn't have to be an antagonist. I mean,
No.
I as much as like I think that the funeral scene definitely hit the emotional beats that the death scene didn't. I do think it is better at that. I do question if it's actually needed at all.
I don't think it is, and we'll come to that because this is the massive reason of this film. But yeah, we'll come to it.
Yeah,
I don't think the death is needed either. But yeah, the death is really badly filmed as well. He's just kind of like, oh, get away, get away. Then a shot of his glasses just falls down. It's just like,
what did you
ugh.
want? You see a young boy swarmed with bees. I go,
Yeah.
oh,
If it if
like
it
the end of Total Recall.
no, stop that. No, the thing is, if you really, really wanted me to care, I want something a bit more harrowing like that. This was just kind of like, oh,
If you want to meet a kid, you'd have had Michael Caine turn up, but you
well,
didn't.
yeah, no, exactly. But no,
Bad.
I didn't think it's a very well put together scene. But anyway, there you go. Yeah, Harry comes to see Vader and they have a nice talk, and he tells her that she wasn't responsible for her mother's death, and he shows her the photo of the parents, and they talk about her mother, and he pretty much apologizes for being a shitty father, and he just wants her to be happy. So I was like, okay, resolution. And then next day we get Thomas J's mother has come to see Harry and Vader at a cafe. I was like, well, how did you know where they were? But all right. And then gives her the mood ring back. And would you believe it? It's miraculously changed colour. But surely it would have turned worse because she's lost her friend. But it seems like
Maybe
a
she
nice,
was
bright, happy
secretly
colour.
happy that he died.
Maybe he was holding her down this whole time. Yeah,
Yeah, but nothing
yeah,
but a button to me, Thomas J.
yeah.
I'm
Fuck you
glad
all.
you did.
Yeah, you planted that ring, so you go get it. Right. And then,
Yeah, because
yeah,
also it's like you didn't kill your mother, but you were sort of responsible for Thomas J's death.
not really. It was entirely his. You see, he's the one who throws the rock at the bee over, and he's the one who squirts it. It's entirely his fault. But yeah,
Yeah, but she was the one that lost the ring.
well, okay, fair enough. Um, Vader tells Mrs. Sennett her own mother will look after Thomas J in heaven, and yeah, that's the last we'll see of her. And this woman doesn't look as upset as you think would be that she'd lost her son. Even at the funeral, her and her husband just kind of a bit. I was like, you've lost your son in a really harrowing way, and he's like 10. It's fucked up.
Yeah, but he was allergic to everything. That would have been hard.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing. Back earlier on, he was allergic to bees. I was like, how? How did you know he was allergic to bees? You're just
Yeah, he was
assuming
allergic to bees, and there were just too
there's too
many of
many
them.
of them. If there was one bee, he would have been fine.
One bee sting, you can survive. Two bee stings, sure, but 72? It's a death sentence.
I would have been away at the dialogue. That would have been really good. Um, then we get the writing class. Vader comes in because she vowed never to go back, but she has come back, and she's written a final poem, and it's about Thomas J. And it's much better than that shitty poem she read
Still
earlier on
rhymes,
about
though.
ice cream. Yeah,
Still rhymes. Amateur hour over here.
yeah. Oh, you're right. The non-spot when he comes in, just he's like, "Oh, get over here, you!" and I hugs her and shit. Get off her.
Get off her. Stop hugging this child,
Yeah,
grown men.
yeah. And then we see now as she's going out that Vader's now become friends with that Judy girl. Massively got over that Thomas J has died, and then we get the shoehorned in My Girl music as we get credits. Although there is a funny line that comes up. She goes, "Oh, some things happened. I think I made a new friend. I got that chicken bone out my throat. Oh, and Richard Nixon made election like that. And that's how it ends. Like, okay, that's kind of funny.
Which I find strange that she's just got a quick endorsement of Nixon at the end there. Yay,
Yeah,
Nixon. My theory there is because Judy comes along at the end and then the My Girl music says up that Judy was my girl all along. And what she
oh,
actually wanted was a friend that was a girl, not a friend that was a boy. So she had her My Girl by killing off Thomas J.
she planted the bees.
Yeah, she planted that ring, put the idea in his head.
Yeah,
They go, a
she
bit of a flashback scene. Off he goes. She dies. Judy comes around with her. She's like, I got everything I wanted. I got sunshine on a cloudy day.
Jeez. So yeah, that was My Girl. So let's rewind back. I mean, I know you didn't remember too much of it, right, from when we were
No,
kids or slightly, but I mean, what did you love and or hate or was indifferent about back when we were kids?
So I think when I was a kid, the indifference would have come primarily because it was called My Girl. It was a heartwarming coming of age story, which was not something that I would have been particularly interested in watching.
Mhm.
I would have seen it as a, quote unquote, right or wrongly, as a child, a girly film, and
Mhm.
would not have been something that I would have looked at and gone, oh yeah, no, I really like that. So, I liked Macaulay Culkin, absolutely fine. Wouldn't really, I think, at 7 or 8 have even registered that Dan Aykroyd was in it. Probably knew him from
Hmm.
Ghostbusters roughly by then, but I don't think I'd have registered that he was in it. I don't think I knew who Jamie Lee Curtis was at that point either.
Hmm. Okay. So you didn't like
Um,
anything about it, but then.
no, probably not.
Now, see,
How
that's
about
so
you?
weird. I loved this film when I was a kid. I loved it. Again, I think
Really?
yeah, I think when I was again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier on. Like they were the characters were the same age as I was when I was watching it, so it spoke
Yeah.
to me. Silly things like going out on bikes or climbing trees or just dicking around and being silly kids, right? All that sort of shit. I loved it. I was like, well, yeah, this is what I do with my friends at this age, you
And you
know.
see, I wouldn't have given it the time of day because when I was a kid, I liked larger than life tales. I wanted to see action. I wanted to see adventure. I didn't want to see stuff that was like the real world. That's boring. I don't want that. I can do that. I can go outside and do that.
But I like that too. I mean, don't get, I liked my Arnold Schwarzeneggers and Sylvester Stallones and other silly comedy movies, action chase movies, all that sort of shit. I loved all
Mm,
that, but there was just something about it. Again, probably because Macaulay Culkin, because I loved Home Alone, but there was just this nice coming of age thing about it. I liked it. I liked the fact it was set in the 1970s.
yeah.
I knew Dan Aykroyd was obviously because of Ghostbusters. I did know Jamie
Yeah.
Curtis was because I probably watched Halloween a lot too younger than I should have done. Um,
Yeah, likewise, actually.
yeah, there was just something about this film I really liked, and I just remember there was a lot of coverage of it, like in comics and magazines
Mm,
I read
mm.
and music videos and all this sort of shit. And again, and then it was just kind of word of mouth. Other people had said, I watched it, and yeah, look, this kid who I was on holiday with, he said, "Oh yeah, Macaulay Culkin gets stung to death by bees." And I think as well because he had told me this, it didn't upset me as much as I was expecting it. And it's probably the same with you. You knew this scene was coming up, or whatever.
Oh, I knew the scene was coming.
Yeah, it's just
Hannah did not know this scene was coming.
but maybe that's a good thing because it's a genuine shock factor. If you don't know what's
Yeah.
going to happen, you think, oh, okay, it's kind of resolving itself. And it's like, oh shit, no, Thomas J died.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
now, fast forward, I'll come at you in a sec, right? Where I have the biggest problems of this, and I've just realised this watching it as an adult. Macaulay Culkin's hardly in this, right?
Yeah, he's
And
hardly in it.
his performance is fucking terrible. He looks like he can't be bothered, right? He's just through his lines, right? You look how charismatic he was in Home Alone and even in Uncle Buck as well, and you see
It's a different thing though. He's not. It's not the same as because Home Alone's a heightened reality. It's slapstick buffoonery. It's not the same thing. He's playing a supporting character in a film where he has to play the kid next door, literally the kid next door.
but
It's
I
completely
think,
different. I didn't get that at all.
but why choose Macaulay Culkin if he's not going to be the star of it? If he's not going to be, the main character, if he's a supporting actor, why not just cast someone else? Because I know it might be part of your Smith trivia who they were going to cast as, so I won't say
Mm,
anything.
mhm, mhm.
So it really shocked me. I remember him being in it a lot more than he actually is, and I just didn't think his performance was pretty good. I thought it was quite wooden. But then saying that, all the actors are doing their best with a piss poor script. Like, not a lot happened. The dialogue's awful,
Mm.
and they're doing their best with what they can. But yeah, okay. So, what did you hate about it now, or not like about? I'm presuming you didn't like anything about it now.
Quite the contrary. I really enjoyed
Interesting.
it.
No, you
Um,
didn't. Don't lie.
yeah, I did. I did. I really enjoyed it. I got to the end. I was like, that was great. That was a great film. I had a perfectly good time with it. I thought it was maybe because I went in with such low expectations. Wipe that face off your head.
I'm
I
so
was-
shocked. I thought you were
maybe I
gonna
went in with
hate
the low
this.
expectations that it was going to be a soppy, melodramatic piece of shit, and it's not. Up until a couple of missteps at the end, I enjoyed the humor. I laughed a lot. I thought it was
What made you laugh? Was there any particular
sweet.
standout scenes?
Just the lines, like the bit right at the beginning, the bit with her showing the dead body to the kids. I thought was very, very funny, and I thought, um, yeah, like don't sing I'm embalming my high school teacher. Like it's that those are some funny lines, and it's yeah, it's kind of twee, and it's safe to a degree, although not that safe because it kills off a main character, but it's still quite, there are lots of films like this I think there are lots of those coming of age stories where everybody over a summer learns a little bit of something about themselves. Yep, great. And sometimes those lessons are better than you just need to face your fears or face up to reality, which is all that this really has going for it at the end. But I thought the script was fine. I thought the performances were good. I thought it was sweet and good natured. It wasn't as saccharine and terrible as I'd built it up to be in my head. So no, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Wow, you have shocked me, Smith, because I'm the opposite. I did not enjoy this. I loved it.
Really?
I loved it. I
Huh.
mean, well, I've written down what I didn't like. Right, so I
No,
thought it
go
was
on, go
quite.
on, go on.
It's boring for a start. Like
It's not boring. It's not
I
boring.
no, there was just many scenes. Just like, oh look, nothing's happening. I thought there's some really badly shot scenes. There was some shit that was really badly edited in parts. I didn't particularly care for how it was
Like
shot.
what? Like what? Like what?
There's a bit which he's running away from home, and it's all just very, very jarring. I don't know. I can't explain it. I wasn't wowed by the cinematography. You know, like when we watched ET, we're like,
No,
oh god, yeah, that's
it's very pedestrian. It's very
yeah,
sort of flat and pedestrian. But then you expect that of films of this era.
yeah. And to me, it's a very muddled film, right? It doesn't know what it wants to be, right? It's a film about she's getting jealous about Jamie Lee Curtis, and he's going to take her dad away from her, or replacing her mother, and that sort of thing. But at the same time, it's selling you as a film of this really deep, close relationship her and Thomas J have. But I never really felt that either. So for me, it's coming across like it wants its cake and eat it. It wants to be both of these things,
Mm,
and it doesn't quite go the full hog. I would have preferred a solid film with just about her and Thomas J, just that. And then when he dies at the end, that's really fucking sad. But because
but
he's so
that's not
underutilized, I couldn't really give a toss when he died, to be honest with
but
you. I just
that
thought, all right.
that's not what this film is about. This
Mm,
film is about her as a character and just a formative summer. Like this is why it's that coming of age thing, which you
mm,
see countless times in cinema, where it is literally just these are the things that happen, and it's got some characters who mean a lot, some characters who don't mean a lot, some characters who have a big impact on the plot, some who don't. Yeah, it moves too quickly, sure. Like, I don't know how long the time period that this takes place over. Is it a couple of weeks, couple of months? Don't really
It's a
know.
summer. It's a summer. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say six
So
weeks or so, maybe.
six weeks, right? It's a big 6 weeks. I don't know how
Yeah.
next year's going to live up to this, but Jesus. Um, so I didn't really find that sort of slightly unfocused element as troubling, perhaps, as you did. I thought it was. I thought, if anything, it kept it moving more breezily because you didn't need to add in unnecessary scenes repeating the same bits of information because you can always have something new because you're doing it as sort of, oh, and here's a gran,
Mm.
and here's a dad, and here's this woman that's come into her life, and it's all from her perspective. Um, I mean, yeah, sure, it does a lot of the stock stuff that you expect from these films and a lot of stock stuff you did with these characters. And I do think the death of Thomas J, whilst impactful in its own way, is slightly unnecessary in that it's something that probably would work better in book form than it would because you can explore the inner thoughts of the
Yeah.
characters more. And they tried that with the voiceover elements, but didn't really work, and it was just lazy more than anything else. So I don't think it needed to kind of tip into full maudlin. Oh God, he's dead at the end. But apart from that, I really didn't have any problem with that. And I really didn't have a problem with the things you had a problem with.
Yeah, and also it kind of sells it like a film that it isn't because it's probably part of your Smith trivia. So My Girl wasn't
Mm.
the original title, and if you watch
No.
the trailer, it's Macaulay Culkin is narrating the trailer. This is my friend Dana, da 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 da, and it's almost like the film's told from his point of view, like she is my girl, she's my best friend in the world, I love her so much. And it's not, like you said, it's a film about her. So I feel like the film is almost missold. The poster makes it look missold. The trailer makes it missold. The fact that they even include the My Girl song in it is really odd. And
Feels odd. But then I think what it comes down to is, yeah, the title was um, come up with much later
yeah,
in there, and all of the other alternative titles I've read are fucking awful.
oh yeah, they
Like
are. They
I don't know
are.
what the hell you would have done with it, but the title doesn't necessarily meet the film, and I think the
No.
title is probably more to do with the song, and then the song is shoehorned in at the end.
Mm,
Um, you know, but
yeah.
I'd never go by what a trailer sells a film to be.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not quite how I remember. I didn't get all those warm, fuzzy feelings watching it as
Mm,
an adult as I did when I was a kid. Like it really, really resonated with me as a kid. I mean, again, the Thomas J scene never upset me as a kid, but just all of them just kids being kids. I liked all that. I could understand why you get jealous if someone was moving in on your family and that sort of thing. I totally got all of that, but I don't know what it was as an adult. I think there are better films that have done this sort of thing a lot better. I just think it was
there are.
very lame, yeah, very tame, and then yeah, I don't know. Just bit of a piss poor effort, really, to be honest with
And there are coming of age films that have done it better.
you. Yeah.
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there definitely are. Um, but for the era, I mean, you're talking early 90s. It's kind of got, I say, it got a likable cast of recognizable people as well, which is always nice. Um,
Well, there's stuff I like about it. So, I mean, look, I think Anna Klumsky shows a lot of promise. Like, that was her first
yeah,
film. I thought she was very good in this. I was like, yep, okay, cool. Not the most polished actor, but she's doing really, really well with what she's got.
it's weird that she doesn't do a lot after this for a while because she does
Yeah.
My Girl 2, which I've never seen and have no
Oh,
interest in
oh, now
watching.
that is shit. That is dog shit.
Well, is that Austin O'Brien, isn't it? From
Oh,
is he from
yeah.
Last Action Hero? No.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Lawnmower Man and
yeah,
whatever else. Yeah.
he's not great. He's quite unlikable. Um, yeah, I've never seen it, never
It's
will. And then she didn't really
crap.
do a lot until Veep for quite a
Yeah.
long time
Oh, she was
after that.
in the
She's
loop, wasn't she?
great in. Oh yeah, so it's the same type of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
She's great in those. She's really
Mm,
great in those. Yeah, anyway,
yeah.
sorry, go on.
Yeah,
Other
so
things you liked about it.
I like the fact it was set in 1970s. It was a nice change. It is very sweet in parts that you said. There are some bits you're like, okay, that's nice. I like that. I mean, Dan Aykroyd and Jamie Lee Curtis, they're likable. They're doing their best for what they can, which I still think is a shit script, but they're doing their best. Yeah, yeah, it's just it wasn't as amazing as I remembered it to be. I was just kind of, oh, okay, yeah, that was it.
See, that's probably the different thing, the different approach we come to with this film, which is interesting, because we've had films in the past where we both loved it. We've had films in the past where we both disliked it. We've had films like E.T. where you liked it and I didn't like it.
Hmm.
But with this, we come to a film where you loved it and I was wildly indifferent to it. But because and into the point where I was like, oh God, this fucking film. And when you told me last time that we were going to cover this, I was like, oh God, why?
There you
Why do I
go.
have to do this? But yeah, I sort of challenged my own expectations. Probably the own changing film taste as you get older, right?
Absolutely. There you go. All right. Well, I think we've discussed this film to death. So before we come to the final verdict, why don't we do some Smith trivia?
Little bit of Smith trivia. Not a hell of a lot of trivia out there in this film, but a few bits that I found. The director Howard Ziff started directing fairly late at the age of 46 with a film called Slither in 1973, not the one with Sharon Stone. So before you even think about it, but that's not, but that's dirty old man.
That's a
Um,
label, Rob.
but he's not got a particularly great CV. It's quite limited, and the things he's got are notable films. My Girl 2, The Dream Team. I think you ever saw The Dream Team. So it's a comedy with Michael Keaton and Christopher Lloyd, where they are people who escape
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I've not
there we
seen
go.
it, but I remember seeing it advertised years and years. Yes,
I
that's right.
think I've seen it. I think I've seen it, but
Okay.
I couldn't be sure. And Private Benjamin, another film which I think I've seen,
I've seen
probably.
bits of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
it
never
would have been
watched
on
it A to Z.
telly.
Yeah,
No, no, I think likewise, I'd have seen clips, or it'd been on telly, and
yeah.
I'd have gone, "All right, yeah, no." It was written by Laurice Elehweri, very strange name, who also wrote My Girl 2 and the Brady Bunch movie, but not much else.
Mhm.
Brady Bunch movie's worth a go. It's quite fun if you've never seen it.
No, I haven't.
On a budget of 17 million, it grossed 121 million worldwide, so massive success. Hence why we
Yeah.
had a My 2 not too long afterwards. The original title was called Born Jaundiced,
Oh, no.
which based on the kind of stuff she says at the beginning of the film. But that's a terrible name for a title. They then had a competition in house in which staff in the movie studio were offered $500 for the person who could come up with the best title. There was a range of them. One working title for a while was I Am Woman, which
Yeah, it's
again is
awful.
just fucking awful. And they couldn't come up with anything, so the producer just chose the title My Girl. It was originally, when submitted to the Motion Picture Association of America, or the MPAA, rated as a PG-13, but they argued it down to a PG because this is not a PG-13 film. I think this has a broader appeal than that.
Mhm.
As we mentioned earlier, in the UK, when it was released, they had attached a warning on it about the spread of HIV due to the blood swapping scene.
Mhm.
Now, the woman who played Gramu, or Grandma, Anne Nelson, this is her last film. Do you know what else she was in?
She does look familiar, but I don't want to just,
So
stereotype an old woman.
she was an Airplane, and she was the woman who hangs herself next to him when he's telling his very long story.
Yes. Oh, fuck me. I wish I could get my wife to watch that film. She refuses.
Oh, Airplane's a great film.
Yeah, it really is.
Uh,
So good.
I was quoting it the other day. I don't know if anybody Anyone who's listening in the UK, there's a TV series called Only Connect. I don't know if you've ever seen Only Connect. It's a
No.
quiz show that's exceptionally hard, and one is a series of things like they have one thing, you need to work out what the fourth one in the series is
Right.
going to be. And the
Oh,
first one is
yes, yes,
quit
yes.
drinking. Next one was stop smoking. Next one was stop sniffing glue. And it's like, what's the fourth one?
It's
No, the third
quite
one was taking
amphetamine.
amphetamines. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The fourth one was what's the fourth one? I guess I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue. Um,
Oh,
which is
one of
yeah.
them.
Anyway. Um, On set, Jamie Lee Curtis implemented a swear jar to stop the adults swearing around the kids. Dan Aykroyd has claimed that there was about 5K left in it by the end. The willow tree that they climb up was fake. They couldn't find a tree next to a lake that was actually authentically a willow tree, so they found another tree, cut all its branches off, and stuck willow tree branches to it.
That's tree murder.
That is tree murder. Elijah Wood was originally considered for Thomas J. Although what I'd read was that Macaulay Culkin was first considered, then they weren't sure about casting him because he was quite famous. Also, they weren't sure about putting him in a film where he died. So they then considered Elijah Wood. They then went back to Macaulay Culkin after either him or his family convinced them that he would be fine for it. After the film, fans of his did protest the film because he died and because they were weird.
But you know
Um,
what? I'm surprised. You know, they do test screenings now and again. I'm surprised if there wasn't outrage and then they just removed that scene. But fair play to stick to their guns. Like, no, we're going to keep that scene in. You
yeah.
know? Yeah.
Also considered for the role of Thomas Shelby was Charlie Cosmo, who was in Hook, the
Yeah.
son in Hook. Anna Klumsky was an extra in Uncle Buck
Mhm.
before she starred in this, so she had already shared a screen with Macaulay Culkin. For the role of Harry, they'd originally considered Bill Murray potentially, which I don't think would work. Steve Martin, which I could see,
Yeah,
is kind of
maybe.
more in his wheelhouse, and Chevy Chase.
Oh no. Oh no, no, no,
Oh
no.
no, God no! But he wasn't sure because he hadn't really done much serious acting. Is that one would argue he'd never done much acting and was a terrible dickhead.
Yeah.
Also, Tim Allen apparently was considered early on as well, but I don't think that would have worked. Steve
Perhaps.
Martin is the only one of those I could see.
Hmm.
I mean, John Candy maybe, but he wasn't considered according to the stuff I read. But you could see him playing the same character.
Yeah, fair enough.
They almost had Rob Reiner directing it, but Rob Reiner, after having done Stand By Me, didn't really want to revisit that kind of thing. Oh, there you go. There's a coming of age story
Yeah,
that does it better. Stand By
much,
Me.
much. In fact, I watched that. I'm like, this is not Stand By Me. Like, Stand By Me really hits you in the feels. This didn't hit me in the feels at all.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Um, and finally, Ernie Hudson was offered the role of Arthur at the behest of Dan Aykroyd, but turned it down because he didn't want people to think they were watching an out-and-out comedy. Also, I don't think he felt like playing second fiddle to Dan Aykroyd again
Well,
because
yeah, and then
he's
there's always
barely
the
in the
ghost
fucking
bus.
film.
Yeah, Arthur's in like two or three scenes. That's it.
Yeah.
Small, very small scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is all of the Smith trivia that I have.
Lovely. Okay. Well, the final verdict. Does it hold up?
Yes.
I'm going to say it doesn't. So that
Ooh.
that falls in that weird category of it kind of holds up. So we've not had one of those for a while. So yeah, we have
Yeah,
surprised everyone today. You probably thought I was going to say it holds up, and you said he didn't hold up, but no, we've flipped that. So
I'll have that DVD off you next time I come around.
I mean, but you know what? This is the thing, right?
Oh.
It's not fucking awful, right? It's not terrible. It's not like one of those films I can't wait for it to end. But at the same time, it didn't make me go, "Oh my God, I loved it," and all that sort of thing. I was just so disappointed with it. But it is one of those things. Would I watch it again? Probably not for a long, long time. But I don't think it's a great film. I think
Mm,
it's fine, but it's not enough for me to go, yeah, that film holds up because it didn't bring back all those nice feelings I had watching
yeah.
it as a kid, like E.T. did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to say it doesn't hold up.
Hmm.
Cool.
Okay.
Right. So your turn. Next episode's nomination. What have you got for us?
Okay. What if I was to say to you, 90s slasher?
Scream?
No, not Scream.
Scream 2.
No, not Scream 2.
I
Definitely not
thought,
Scream 3 because it's not the 90s and also it's shit.
I don't mind Scream 3. It's kind of grown on me now. I know what you did last summer.
Scream 4 grew on me. Scream 3 not so much. I know what you did last summer. No, it's boring. Okay. What if I was to say to you Bloody Mary?
Oh no. Oh no, you're not doing this to us, so go on then.
What? It's great.
Go on.
Okay,
Tell,
we're
tell
gonna
everyone
go
what we're
and
doing.
watch. We're going to watch Urban Legend.
It's just a Scream rip-off, but okay, fine.
Yeah, but Scream's good, and rip-offs of Scream also good, not Valentine.
Do you know what? I've got a bit of a guilty pleasure for that film, but yeah, I don't
Oh,
know.
that film doesn't make any fucking sense. Anyway,
No, it doesn't. Well, all right. So we're doing Urban Legend. You know what? I've genuinely not watched
Urban
that film in
Legend.
years and years and years and years. So that'd be a nice trip to me. And I do like my trashy horrors anyway. So yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be cool. All right. So next episode we're covering Urban Legend. Right then, a bit of quick housekeeping before we get out of here. You can reach us on email when it doesn't hold up podcast at gmail.com. We're on Instagram at it doesn't hold up podcast. We are on Twitter, or X as it's now known, it doesn't hold up pod. We are on YouTube at it doesn't hold up podcast, and we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all other good places you listen to podcasts. Please give us a good review on all your podcast platforms, and remember, we do accept suggestions for things for us to cover, so keep them coming. So, Smith, is there anything else you would like to say on My Girl before we get out of here?
Yes, there is. Bays. Thousands of Africa killer bays.
And I would just like to say